Welcome to this episode of Groundspeak. Today we are joined by Reena Mutum, who is the founder of the Manipur Women's Gun Survivor Network, and she's going to tell us more about her business and what she does for a living. So, Groundspeak is a platform for those whose voices are primarily unheard and uncalled for, and hence it seeks to bring out a bottom up narrative and establish a new normal wherein the realities of the ground become the fundamental base for discussions and deliberations on a grander stage. Through Groundspeak, Asian Confluence wants to acknowledge the situation and the status of these individuals who are a small part of this large community. So, ma'am, could you tell us more about you and your venture and how did you come upon this idea?
Yeah, thank you, Aishani. Yeah, my name is Reena Mutum, and I'm the founding coordinator of Manipur Women Gun Survivors Network, which is based in Manipur in northeast part of India. We have been leading work for women, peace, and security in issues in northeast India since 2007, and our focus and expertise is on socio-economic development and peace-building processes led by women and youth and advocacy work. The network has spread to 300 villages all across the 8 states of Northeast India as of now. And our network counsels women living in trauma and helps them find livelihood opportunities in order to help them return to a normal life. So our team have been working relentlessly with several women weavers uh, who are survivors of violence that belong to the most vulnerable and marginalized section of Manipur, and I have been coordinating for the overall programs. And I also assist in the running of an online portal that sells handloom items made by our women. And the name of the portal is called Mother's Bazaar.
Okay.
Yes, and our main goal is to expand the economic empowerment and livelihood possibilities for vulnerable and marginalized women members of our network. And we aim to create an opportunity to make the weavers earn a steady cash income and also establish a reputation and brand focus on high quality handloom products that combine the high and diverse skills of Manipur weavers with contemporary designs.
Right. So, ma'am,
Yeah.
all of this, it just sounds like such a wonderful idea, and I'm so glad that it's a successful venture. To me, it sounds like an incredibly successful venture. Ma'am, could you
Mhm.
tell us more about how conflict and violence comes into play over here, and what are these violent occurrences that the women go through, and how is it that
Oh,
um, you find these women and you try to give them business opportunities?
okay. See, everyone knows that Manipur is a conflict zone.
Yeah.
Okay. So in Manipur, in each and every family, somebody, a brother, husband, or a father has been lost. And when we face that, it's the women who face all the burdens of life. Once the bread earner passes away, it's the woman who has to carry forth the family.
Right.
So, and there are certain circumstances where the women can't go out of the house because she has little, small children to look
Mhm.
after, and it
Mhm.
becomes very difficult for her to, step out of the house. Forget about that. There are stigmas also. When she goes out again, where is she going? Is another question that comes. So we have been trying to get in touch with uh, in fact, when we started the organization, we started with only conflict survivors. But now, what we have done is we have included all the women who are in difficult circumstances.
Mhm.
So the section of women that we deal with is, like women in difficult circumstances now. And as far as weaving sector is concerned, Manipur enjoys a distinct place among the, handloom zones in India. And handloom and handicraft industry is the largest cottage industry in the state.
Mhm.
So this industry has been flourishing since time immemorial, and it's a living tradition. In fact, it's a living
Right.
tradition here. And what our weavers weave, it's their dream. It's their dream that they weave. And weaving is something which they are not taught. They have seen their grandmothers doing it and their mothers doing it, and it's like inherited from them. It's a living
Right.
tradition. So yeah,
Right.
so it's a special feature of the industry that women are the only weavers, especially in Manipur. In other states, we find men weaving, But in Manipur, it's only the women who weave. And
Right.
hand cloth weaving is the traditional occupation of the women here in Manipur.
Right.
One of the best advantage of doing this work is that it provides an opportunity for women who have been affected by conflict to earn for themselves a cash income of their own, and also to
Mhm.
improve their skills for
Mhm.
their socio and economic situation. And it also gives an opportunity to show the rich heritage craft of the people of Manipur,
Right.
reflecting the diversity and richness of crafts across different groups and cultures.
Right, right. So, ma'am, to me, it sounds incredibly wonderful what you're doing, and it sounds like you're going out of your way to make sure that not that every woman who you come in contact with who has had a difficult circumstance can somehow make a living of her own. So, since the network has been active since 2007, is that correct, ma'am? 2007. So, how would you
2007.
say that the business scenario in the region has changed in the last 10 years or so?
Okay, things have changed gradually,
Mhm.
slowly, because we have, nothing comes easy. We have faced a lot of hurdles in between also.
Right,
So
right.
nothing came easy. So the northeastern part of India, no doubt, we have developed in the last few decades, no doubt. But
Mhm.
many of the youth of the present generations, they have started entrepreneurial work rather than the stereotype doctors and engineers. So
Right.
I think it is very encouraging to see the spirit and the passion in their respective works.
Mhm.
And however, one has to go through a lot of hurdles to reach that goal you know and some of the disadvantages of being a business owner in this region is not being able to get the raw materials easily, maybe
Mhm.
due to the communication gap or lack of access to finance with in addition to poor infrastructure as well.
Poor infrastructure. I think that's something that the women that I have talked to, women entrepreneurs that I've talked to since the Groundspeak began, that's I think one of the biggest challenges that all of the women are facing in terms of like the infrastructure is not great, the connectivity
Mm.
issues. There are just a lot of connectivity issues all the time, and
Yeah.
I think that kind of stunts your growth in a way that the handicraft itself. And the weaving just gets stuck to one particular region and does not reach to the entire nation or even internationally for that matter.
Mm.
So you mentioned a couple of disadvantages of working over here. What are some of the major hurdles, like in terms of access to finance, markets, networks, mentors, for women
Yeah.
doing business in the NER?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, like it's difficult to access the finance. And for example, we have different schemes from the government. Say, for instance, the Mudra scheme. We
Okay.
know that there is a scheme called the Mudra scheme, and our women they have gone to the banks to get access to that.
Mm-hmm.
And when we say it, it sounds very easy, but when the rightful people who had to claim that went to the bank to ask for it, they were like, they were about to get only 30% of what was
Promised.
yes. And even to get that they had to wait for a very long time, and
Mm-hmm.
by the time the money reaches them it's like just a little, it's just a very small amount, but in pen and paper in blueprint, it looks so beautiful, like mudra scheme for this. But when it reaches to women, so it's like access to fund is a very big hurdle. It's a very big hurdle. Yeah.
Right. Apart from that, do you think that there are enough mentors in the region to mentor you in terms of developing your business? And any other, like, do you face any problems while accessing certain markets? Do you have
Um,
some sort of
maybe
issues?
as far as our organization is concerned, maybe I should, mention the name of one of our mentors. Like, there's a company called Rang Sutra.
Okay.
Have you heard about it, Rang Sutra?
Not.
And the proprietor of Rang Sutra is Ma'am Shumita Ghosh, whose husband is also a victim of conflict.
Okay.
So Rangsutra had handholded us, handholded us, our organization in, taking us to a certain level, because Rangsutra came to Manipur
Mhm.
because even if we want to export our product from Manipur, quality has to be maintained, right? As
Definitely.
far as if we do it within the state itself, you know, uh, it's easy to access here, the products to sell here. But beyond Manipur, if we are to sell it beyond Manipur, quality has to be maintained. So Rangsutra came to Manipur. They taught us how quality has to be maintained, and how business functions. So I would like to mention the name of Rangsutra. And Rangsutra, in fact, they were the ones who had brought orders for from Fab India, and our weavers were able to weave the fabrics, and then we had to send it to Fab India, and that was our one of the success stories which we would like to share.
Stories, yeah,
Yes.
definitely. It sounds like
Mhm.
a really, really big deal, ma'am. And I'm
Uh,
so
we
glad
started
that
very small. We started very small in a very humble way, and we're still humble.
no, but the
Yeah.
work, I think to us at Asian Confluence, what stands out about your business is the fact that you're doing it at such a large scale, and you're still very humble about it. And
Mhm.
I think that's something that we really appreciate about you and your business, and it's something that I particularly wanted to talk to you about. That how do you maintain such a large network of women and manage to be successful as well. So what are which brings me to my next question, ma'am. So what are some of the interesting instances from your work on ground would you like to share with us? Because I'm sure like you talk to a lot of women from the ground, and what are some of the
Yes.
instances that you could talk about?
Yes. One of the you see during the journey of our work, we learned that women love to work together. Especially at a workplace where they can share ideas, pour out their joys and sorrows, and we also learned that collective effort can bring in a lot of changes.
Mhm.
Collective effort,
Right.
and it's a blessing to be able to work with women of different communities where we can see unity in diversity.
Mhm.
So we do not work with just one community, but we try to bring in all women from all the communities together.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is one of the good thing, because we try to involve as many communities as we are not biased. So we try to bring in from the Muslim community, from the tribal community, and even the tribal, the weaves that the tribal make. It's so beautiful, the vibrant colors.
Right.
It's so beautiful. You must come and see it in Manipur.
I'll definitely so
Please do.
with the other project that you're involved with us for awe,
Um,
we're definitely going
uh,
to come and visit each and
please
every
do.
state
Please do.
once the COVID-19 pandemic, when once things
Yes.
are a little more certain. That's all planned and that's all in the pipeline, and we're
Uh-huh.
definitely going to be there. Asian Conference will be there.
That would be
Um,
wonderful.
so, ma'am, since this is a largely women-led initiative, so how would you describe like the male to female landscape in terms of this business? And do you think that your experience has been different from that of your male counterpart in any way?
See, in Manipur, especially relating to our work, it's all women related. Women
Right.
are the ones who weave. In fact, when we had guests from outside Manipur, they were like, when we went to the villages for a survey, they were like, what do the men do? Because all the work is being done by women. So what do the men do? That was one question which they asked.
Mhm.
So our work is women related. So we have been more focused on the women. Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, but so when you try to get the weave across to be sold to somewhere across this state, so do you think that you being a woman is anyway like acts as a disadvantage at any stage?
Yes, yes. See, although Manipur has skilled women artisans in the handloom and handicraft section, most of the people remain very poor. In fact, 90% of them are below poverty line.
Hmm.
And the main reasons being inaccessible or lacking linkages to domestic and international market space, and no access to technology. No
Mhm.
access to technology. And most of the product made by our women are for domestic market, which is normally, sold in the local market
Hmm.
for immediate need. Since the
Hmm.
market space is limited, the profit margin remains restricted and limited. And
Hmm.
another problem is that most of the products are local based and have less attractive to domestic and international markets. So we aim to provide capacity building trainings, livelihood support, and market linkages to the beneficiaries to bridge the gaps and to address gender inequalities and resultant violence, and contribute to the empowerment through our holistic empowerment model.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, since you mentioned that the venture is also focused towards to ensuring peace as well, right? Peace as well. So, how
Yeah.
do you think that providing women employment opportunities, how do you think is that going to correlate to the violent aspect of where
Yes.
some of these women come from?
See, when there is development, there will definitely be peace.
Hmm.
When there is development, there will definitely peace. There will Peace will definitely be there. And when there is development, in the sense, see, when we work and when we develop, there will certainly be peace.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
And I think that goes hand in hand, because
exactly.
once these women will start to have some economic standing, I think that's when
Stability.
they'll be better equipped with protecting themselves and protecting their family from violence as well. So I think that's what something that you're trying to say as well. So I
Yes.
think, ma'am, this interview will my questions and our interview would be incomplete without me addressing the COVID-19 pandemic and how that has had an effect
Um,
on everybody. So, how has the COVID-19 pandemic changed your business, and what are some of the innovations and the changes that you would like to see in the coming future in terms of the business community in the Northeast?
Okay. See, in the face of this unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic, it has become difficult even to get the raw materials. So
Right.
even though we get it now, the prices are sky high. The weavers are saying that the prices are so high now, it's become difficult for them to get even the raw materials, and leave aside marketing the products. Even the events like exhibitions and small melas could not be held this time. So
Hmm.
some of the ways to deal in times like this would be to provide online marketing opportunities so that business community functions, it goes on. So this can be
Right. So I
online
think that's
marketing.
one of the
Yes,
changes that could happen in the future.
yes,
So I'm
yes.
kind of curious to know, how many women are you currently employing, ma'am? How many
Oh,
weavers?
okay. In fact, see, it's in hundreds and thousands now. We have,
My
started
God.
our network not just in Manipur. We have expanded to the all the parts of 8 states of the Northeast. So we have in Meghalaya, we have that too in the interiors of Meghalaya, and we try to go to the villages. So because everything starts from the grassroots, so we
Mhm.
try to go to the villages, and we have expanded to the 8 Northeast states of India.
That's
So
wonderful,
yeah.
ma'am. I'd like to I congratulate you for getting to this level,
So
and
much.
it's just incredibly inspiring to know that even in the worst of times, there are people like you who are going out of their way to provide women such opportunities. So you've
We are
talked about the
doing a bit.
mudras. You're doing your bit, ma'am, but
Yeah,
I
we are
think
doing a bit.
you're going above and beyond what needs to be done. And I think it's people like you who are responsible for development and changing the world as we know it. And that's one of the reasons why we want to do Groundspeak, is that because our audience is entirely focused on like academic research and talking about really high level things as to how the Northeast comes into play with other countries, whereas what we want to do is we want to talk about the third space, which is like engaging people who are genuinely working on ground to make sure that there's some development happening, so that it's a ground up approach rather than a top down look at things. So that is the reason why we want to do such interviews with people like you. You talked
Okay.
about the Mudra scheme, ma'am, and I
Yes.
think that's something that we should probably like research about and know more about what it's like, and talk to more people who are involved in the scheme and see where it's going. What are some of
Exactly.
the other policies and schemes and interventions would you like to see from the government and also from the private sector for women entrepreneurs in the Northeast?
Okay, see, we understand that a lot of schemes have been launched and implemented by the government with special emphasis on women.
Hmm.
Alongside, it will be good for the government and private sector to intervene and give trainings regularly to keep the women updated on various developments in every sector. We should
Hmm.
also keep a tab to see that these schemes reaches the women in rural areas who are actually the primary beneficiaries.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so the government schemes, I think you've mentioned. Also,
Yeah.
with the private sector, what would you like the private sector to do, ma'am?
We also want them to give trainings regularly and to keep the women updated of whatever is happening.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So I think
it
with
can be
the
overcome.
awe program, I think we are trying doing our bit to try and reach out to women, and I hope that the awe program also benefits you in some way, and
Yeah.
that's one of the things that the private sector, we being a part of the private sector, are trying to do. Um, Apart from that, ma'am, so I wanted to know, like, how are these women connected to you? Like, how do they connect with you? Is there somebody who's involved in the middle to do the communications for you? And how do you see your business develop in the next couple of years?
Okay. See, nothing comes easy, but we are optimistic that, the women will prosper because it's a lot of hard work that they're doing it.
Definitely.
It is a lot of hard work, and hard work pays. So we
Mm-hmm.
are optimistic about it,
Yeah,
that,
and I
our
hope that,
business will prosper.
yeah, and I hope that your business, I hope that it's not really limited to local purchases, and you want to go national with
Beyond,
it and
yeah,
international with
beyond.
it. And yeah,
Mm.
and I think with the development of, with the COVID-19 pandemic, what has happened is a lot of everything is now online, whereas before
Yes,
it wasn't that, like, this interaction is happening online now,
exactly,
which wouldn't have
exactly.
happened.
It's a
um,
blessing in disguise, in fact,
it's kind of a
for
blessing in
somebody.
disguise. So
Yeah.
with the fact that everything is now online, I think that there is more scope for development for the Northeast, because now, since all everybody is almost always online,
Yes, we are
um,
being connected.
yeah, we are connected. And
Mm.
I hope that the viewers who are a part of your network will get a chance to showcase their work online as well.
Yes, yes, we would love to. We would love to. We'll do that.
So, ma'am, with that, we come to the end of this interview. Is there anything else like that you would like to discuss with us, or anything else that you would like to tell our viewers before we say our byes?
Okay, just want to thank the Asian Confluence, and I'm very happy to be a part of this program.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us. And Asian Confluence salutes women like you who are going and doing their bit and servicing the community in any way that they can. Thank you so much for being a part of this
Thank you,
interview.
Shania. Thank you.
Thank you.